If you thought the news cycle or the political spectrum, the political rhetoric was getting crazy during the summertime here in Canada, I'm going to encourage you to stick around and pay attention in the fall, because that's when they get back into Parliament. They get back to doing their job. They're not traveling across the country, taking vacations, and they actually do debates. And what we're seeing now is that ramp up for the boot up of, the start of the new political season, which is about to happen in about 30 days, plus or minus a couple of days from now. And Pierre Poilievre is quick to the punch. He has already shown up in front of a parliament building and he's done a press conference basically attacking Jagmeet Singh, leader of the NDP, calling for an emergency election to happen this fall in October, and calling out Jagmeet for not only being sellout Singh is his biggest nickname, but for going after his pension and not doing what he swore to do when he took the position of being a elected MP, which is to serve Canadians, to be a public servant. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. We are super close from 400,000 subscribers, and it would mean the world to me if we got there before they started picking things up in about 30 days from now. And without further ado, let's get into it. So in a statement that was issued from Pierre to Jagmeet on X, it's absolutely crazy, signed with Trudeau to secure his pension. Now, you're stuck paying the bill, higher taxes, and double the housing costs and crime and chaos. Singh to tell sellout Singh to vote down Trudeau and give Canadians the carbon tax election that they want. And in this letter, he goes to say that Jagmeet promised that he would make people's lives more affordable, yet by his own admission, his coalition has been a disaster, working for and not really working for Canadians. Earlier this month, over 2 years since you joined the Trudeau government, you admitted that when you go into the grocery store and you're buying your groceries, you're spending more than ever before, which is crazy because if you signed up to do a coalition, you would think that there would be some results by now, but there isn't. But don't worry, they're going to get it under control in another 4 years is what they're trying to sell to the country, and people just are fed up. They're not buying it. And if you are buying it, if you're falling for that trap of just give Trudeau and Jagmeet 4 more years, as they say down in Arkansas, bless your heart. Now we're going to be taking a look at a couple videos here of Pierre Poilievre's press conference, and we're going to break down and comment on some of the things that were covered, but he basically just focuses on this coalition and how it needs to be disbanded. He also issues a final warning or type of threat to Jagmeet, saying, hey man, stop going for your pension. This is the time to redeem yourself, to walk away with any dignity that you could possibly have left, albeit a very small amount, and get an election called this fall. Is Jagmeet going to follow through with it? We're going to have to wait and see. But let's take a look at what Pierre Poilievre says in this. He also starts a fight with a reporter. There's a woke reporter, probably about the halfway point of this video, where he goes after Pierre with some ridiculous question, and Pierre tries to answer it, but the reporter says, no, in more specific detail. And anyways, they started this battle back and forth, and Pierre is very, very good at shutting these people down, these crooked criminals, these ultra biased reporters. It's phenomenal. But nonetheless, let's take a look at this video here.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy end of summer. But really, what's there to be happy about after Justin Trudeau's recent cabinet retreat? What changed? Remember at the beginning of the summer, after the people of St. Paul's voted against Justin Trudeau's proposed 61-cent a litre carbon tax, voted against him doubling housing costs and driving 2 million people to the food bank, voted against the crime and chaos he has caused. All the PMO staffers called you and the media and said there would be heads rolling, that they would fire ministers. They called the Globe and Mail and said incompetent and discredited Chrystia Freeland would lose her job to Mark Carney, or at least to someone who knew how to work a calculator. And then that there would be other changes. Maybe even the Prime Minister would step aside to make way and to try and bury the disastrous NDP Liberal record and put a fresh coat of paint on the broken down Liberal car. Well, what did we learn at this expensive Liberal retreat in Halifax? We learned that nothing will change. that Chrystia Freeland, who's been Canada's worst ever finance minister, helping to double our national debt and drive inflation to its worst in 4 decades, will stay in her job. Sean Fraser, who destroyed what was the best immigration system in the world, will stay in his job. The crazy carbon tax minister, Stéphane Guilbeault, who wants to ban trucks, roads, and plastic straws while Liberals legalize crack and heroin, he's going to keep his job as well. The disastrous justice minister, who's helped give Canada a 50% increase in violent crime and a 120% increase in gun crime, he will keep his job. But most important of all, Justin Trudeau, the man who is not worth the cost, announced that he will too will keep his job. Canadians cannot afford another painful, costly, chaotic, and corrupt year of Justin Trudeau. He will not quit. He must be fired. His ego, arrogance, and incompetence will always have him putting himself ahead of Canadians. He would rather Justin Trudeau would rather force an entire generation to go without homes, 2 million people to go to food banks, 25% of kids to go to school hungry. That he would rather that continue to be the case than to give up power. He will not quit. He must be fired. And the person to do it is Jagmeet Singh. Singh sold out workers to sign on to this costly coalition. He has voted to hike the carbon tax to 61 cents a litre, for policies to double housing costs, and to tax food. Now, why did he do it? He told us that if he became part of the government, he'd bring down food prices. That was one of his promises. Did he succeed? Well, you don't actually have to ask me if he succeeded. Ask him. This is what he said about food prices last week. When you go into the grocery store and you're buying your groceries, you're spending more than ever before, and you're leaving with less than ever before. Again, that is after 2 years of Jagmeet Singh joining the Liberal government.
If you remove all the talking points, all of the figureheads of the parties, and you just focus on expenses, because at the end of the day, you know, you can have whatever feelings you want, but you have to be able to buy shit. You have to be able to afford stuff, or else what's the point of living anywhere if you can't afford anything? That's kind of where the state of Canada is, or is more specifically heading. So if we focus on how the cost of living has ramped up over the past 9 years under Justin Trudeau, or under X, Y, and Z, doesn't even matter. Never mind Justin Trudeau. The cost of living has reached a peak right now where people can't afford mortgages. They can't afford groceries. You have 1 in 5 people going to food banks, or 1 in 10 people in Canada projected to go to food banks in 2024 and in 2025. It's absolutely insane. You have more people that are flooding into our country, and they're taking jobs that are deserving for Canadians, right? It's insane what's happening. So why would you want to vote for a person or a group of people that have made your life a living hell financially? You don't want to be taxed more. You want to be taxed less. You want to save more of your money, but you want the people who have that money, those taxes, those big funds, those billions of dollars, to spend that efficiently. Now let's bring back the figureheads and realize that Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh, they're just talking points. They aren't actually doing anything good for the country. So voting for them is absolutely insane. He can go around and he can say, we're going to make life more affordable. They've had the chance to do that. It's incredible that anybody would want to vote for a failure. Why not take a chance on somebody who actually understands economics, who understands how the world works, and realizes that we can't keep spending as much money as we are? Never mind all of the other shit, all of the other pronouns and genders and blah, 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 blah. Focus only on the money aspect, because without money, you're not going to be able to afford anything anyways, so it doesn't really matter. And why not just give the Conservatives and Pierre Poilievre a chance? And that's where a lot of Canadians, hopefully enough Canadians, but just in the event that there isn't enough Canadians that want to vote for Pierre, I highly encourage as many people as possible to start liking these videos and commenting so it can get pushed out further in the algorithm, and even share it so that more people can see. He's got some brilliant talking points. He's not radical. He's not a right-wing conspiracy theorist. He's very kind of progressive, and if I'm being honest, centrist or even left of center. But for some reason, he's considered by the mainstream media, who has an ultra bias, as this ultra right-wing person. That's not the case at all. We are in a massive deficit, and we are drowning financially, and we need somebody who's going to save instead of spend.
So what's clear is that Singh did not join to bring down grocery prices or housing costs, both of which have skyrocketed since he joined this coalition. He joined to keep Trudeau in power so that he could get his pension. Jagmeet Singh is trying to delay the election until after February of next year so that he can qualify for a $2.2 million taxpayer-funded pension. That's why Canadians are calling him Sell Out Singh. My message to Sell Out Singh is this: put the people ahead of your pension. Break the costly coalition with Trudeau to trigger a carbon tax election where Canadians can choose between the costly coalition of the NDP Liberals that tax your food, punish your work, take your money, double your housing cost, and unleash crime and chaos in your community, or common sense Conservatives who will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. Axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime to bring it home for our country. We'll bring home lower prices by getting rid of the carbon tax, which will not only lower the cost for farmers and truckers to bring us food, or for Canadians to heat their homes or gas their cars, but will unleash $25 billion more of GDP every single year, according to Finance Department publications from this Liberal government. We'll enact a bring it home tax cut to make our taxes simpler, lower, and fairer. The goal is to bring home more powerful paychecks and production to this country. We'll get rid of the government gatekeepers to allow us to produce our clean Canadian natural gas, our vital minerals, our oil, our forestry products, and to bring home production to this country. We'll get rid of the gatekeepers by allowing our brilliant immigrants to take a Blue Seal exam and get working in their professions so we have more doctors and nurses. We will get rid of the government gatekeepers to build the homes. We will require local municipalities speed up permits, free up land, and cut development taxes as a condition of getting federal funds to build 15% more homes per year. We'll sell off 6,000 federal buildings and thousands of acres of federal land to build, 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 build. We'll cut taxes on home building. We'll back the trades because we need the boots and not suits in order to build those homes. We will build those homes in safe neighborhoods with jail and not bail for repeat violent offenders, with treatment, not decriminalized and subsidized hard drugs, and by securing our borders to keep criminals, terrorists, drugs, and guns out while we bring, and at the same time, we will ensure that our stolen cars do not leave our ports as they do right now. We will get that money by canceling the ridiculous gun grab and respecting the rights of our law-abiding, licensed, trained, and tested hunters and sport shooters. We will also secure our borders to make sure that never again do accused ISIS terrorists get into our country and become citizens of Canada, even after the existence of a video apparently showing that same terrorist mutilating a human body on a crucifix during the ISIS war of over a decade ago. These are the kinds of disastrous mistakes, radical approaches of the Liberal government that must end so that we can replace their costly incompetence with our common sense. And the result will be a country where hard work again earns a powerful paycheck and pension that buys affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods under a proud Canadian flag in the country we know and love.
So radical left-wing liberals love to tout around the idea that, you know, Justin Trudeau is a good spokesperson. There wasn't one single or ah or hiccup in Pierre Poilievre's speech. Pierre can represent Canada on the global scale, on the national scale with, I mean, he's an impeccable speaker, right? He's respected. He is able to use his words in a way that makes some fucking sense. Unlike Jagmeet, who held up a bag of apples and called them potatoes, and then after his speech, he looked at it and said, "These are apples." That's just so friggin' dumb. Justin Trudeau is full of ums and ahs, and he has to be reminded like he's in grade 6 giving a speech in front of the class. When you're talking, don't forget to look up at the camera while you're looking at your notes. It's super freaking bizarre, and I just don't get it. And now we're going to take a look at a separate video where Pierre kind of snaps a little bit at a reporter. It's a few minutes into it, but stick around because this is going to be pretty good here.
Well, I wouldn't have had to do that in this case. The reason that we have these strikes is because of inflation. We had last year the largest number of days lost to strike since 1986. What do we have in 1986? Inflation. Inflation leads to strikes because workers and unions have to fight to get back what they lost in purchasing power. Well, how did the inflation happen? The government doubled the debt. Justin Trudeau printed $700 billion of cash. He increased the money supply by 40%, while the real economy grew by 4%. When you add money 10 times faster than you add the stuff that money buys, then you get inflation. And that screws over workers because they live off wages. If you're a billionaire, like the people Trudeau vacations with, then you don't have to worry about inflation because your assets are inflation-proof or even inflation-positive. You get richer. It's a transfer of wealth from the have-nots to the have-yachts. And you know what? It's ironic. It's all done with Jagmeet Singh's support. He can huff and puff all he wants, but he supported the inflationary policies that destroyed the wages of working-class people, and he supports what Justin Trudeau did on the rail strike. Do you know how we know? Do you know how we know that? Do you know how we know that? No. Do you know how we know that Jagmeet supports it? Because he's still in a coalition with them. And if Jagmeet didn't support it, he would respond to my letter this afternoon and say he's pulling out of the costly coalition and he's going to vote to bring down Trudeau and cause a carbon tax election. And that's what I'm calling for him to do today. Jagmeet Singh, stop selling out the workers. Stop being sellout Singh. Put the people ahead of your pension. Vote for a carbon tax election now.
All right, so now I know it's in French, but it does get dubbed over by a translator. I just want to encourage everyone to stick around because this is where he kind of gets into a bit of a cat fight, so to speak, with a reporter.
Et l'insuline presque gratuite. Pilule, insuline, est-ce que vous allez garder ces programmes en place?
Would you keep those programs in place? Yes or no?
À ce que je sache, ces programmes n'existent pas
As far as I know,
encore.
those programs don't exist.
Ils font des promesses.
They make promises.
Excusez-moi, monsieur, est-ce que je peux
It does
répondre?
exist. Answer? Excuse me, sir. May I answer?
Vous allez voir la plateforme électorale que
You're going to see the election platform that I will put forward as soon as there is an election. But for the time being, we have nothing but promises. Promises from the Liberals, from the Coalition and the NDP and the Bloc, that if they spend more, one day there's going to be great gifts for everyone. They have already promised. I'm not going to allow you to interrupt me. I'm going to give you my complete answer. It doesn't exist yet. How many people have received that? How many? How many?
Combien?
How many?
Combien?
How many?
Combien?
How many?
Combien?
How
Vous
many?
voulez pas répondre non plus parce que
You don't want to answer
est-ce que je peux
either.
répondre?
Can
Je peux pas
I
répondre que
respond?
si vous m'interrompez.
I can't
Vous
answer if
venez
you keep interrupting me.
d'avouer que vous avez posé une fausse question. Et la raison pour laquelle
You've
vous l'avez
asked a
avoué,
false
c'est parce que
question,
quand je
and
vous
you
ai
admit
demandé
that
combien de pilules sont
is because when I asked you how many pills have been shared with people, you can't answer because the answer is probably zero.
Je vais compléter ma phrase.
I'm going to complete my sentence. We can't keep something that does not exist.
C'est ma réponse.
That's my answer. Thank you. What about people who say that they're...
This is the type of approach that we really need here in Canada to, the media. You saw Trump handle this many years ago. It was a big shocker because people just aren't used to, whoever's running the country to basically just shit on reporters that are being biased, that are just being idiots. And a lot of people liked it. Now, we haven't really seen that here in Canada. Everyone has been mostly compliant with the reporters, with journalists, except for now. Pierre is fighting back in a different way than how Trudeau has been fighting back. Trudeau has made it so that only how he views accredited journalists can ask him questions, which is why I don't think you see True North or Rebel News or other independent journalism or journalists or whatever outlets ask him questions unless you're Keenan Becks and you go find him on a beach at DeVito. That's kind of a very rare unicorn type of situation. But when it comes to asking Trudeau questions in press conferences, you can't do it unless you're CBC, CTV, Global News, the mainstream medias. Now, Pierre hasn't put those restrictions on anyone. That's why you see Andrew Lawton from True North, I guess formerly from True North because now he's running in politics, but you see True North ask him questions. You see Rebel News be able to ask Pierre Poilievre questions. He hasn't really put those restrictions on. But what he does have is a snapback attitude to reporters that are just trying to troll him or trying to get him in this gotcha moment, and it's refreshing. It's a breath of fresh air. Now, the left hates this. Justin Trudeau and all of his supporters go, "Oh, how could you do that? That's not nice. You're making fun and a mockery of journalism." But at the same time, kindly go fuck yourself. Like, I'm being serious, right? A lot of these reporters are just they don't have the best intentions. They have a clear bias. They're not asking proper journalistic or journalism questions. They're there to get a reaction, a rise out of whoever they're asking. And they don't do that for Justin Trudeau. They don't do that for Jagmeet Singh, Chrystia Freeland. They don't do that other than for Pierre Poilievre or his Conservative Party. And they're scared of him, of course. Pierre has made it so that, his part of his campaign promises, if I'm not mistaken, are he's going to defund the CBC. He's not going to give them the millions or billions of dollars of taxpayers' money to that organization, and they're going to have to figure it out, which is awesome. And a lot of people are actually on board with that. So that's kind of a key thing that's different from Pierre, and these little micro changes in how he strays away from the classic political approach to running for prime minister. It is a breath of fresh air. It's not as out there as Trump, and I don't think Canada would really be able to handle that. I feel like there would be a lot of pushback. Don't get me wrong. I like Trump. I think that he should be president. I think that he could definitely fix that country, or if anyone can, it's going to be him. But Canada, just generally, you might like Trump. You might like that more bold approach, but Canada generally is going to reject that type of Trump approach to politics. But Pierre finds that nice balance between, not like Trump, but a more progressive, evolved version of Trump per se, and a Canadian politician. And it's refreshing. I think a lot of people really like that and respect that approach by him. But I'll pass the question off to you. How do you feel about that when he challenges reporters? Are you against it? Are you for it? Let me know why.
We have to acknowledge that Justin Trudeau has destroyed our immigration system. We had a multi-generational consensus in immigration for literally decades before Trudeau came along. Immigration was not even a controversial issue prior to Trudeau. We brought in hardworking, law-abiding citizens in numbers that our housing market, our job market, and our healthcare system could absorb. What has since happened? Trudeau and Fraser destroyed the temporary foreign worker program by telling their bureaucrats to overlook fraud, by getting rid of the rule that required that you couldn't bring in temporary foreign workers for low-wage jobs in places where there was over 6% unemployment. In other words, where there were lots of people looking for work. They destroyed the international student program by allowing rampant fraud and abuse and increasing the numbers to levels we could not afford. And they grew the population almost 3 times as fast as the housing stock. That is entirely a decision of Justin Trudeau and the NDP Liberals. When I'm Prime Minister, the temporary foreign worker program will be used exclusively to fill jobs that Canadians cannot or do not fill, like in agriculture sectors, but never to replace Canadians or drive down wages. We will only admit international students to, if they have a way to pay their bills, a house to live in, and a real admission letter to a real educational institution. And population growth will be below the growth in jobs, housing, and healthcare. That is a common sense plan. Now let's bring it home. Sur la question des caribous, monsieur.
He does a really good job as well in his press conferences of taking control of the situation, where a lot of politicians, including Justin Trudeau, just let the reporters run the show, and he's the figurehead, almost an object, right? Everyone objectifies these types of people, just whether it's conscious or subconscious, right? You just answer the question, you freaking figurehead, and get it over with. But Pierre says, well, hold up, that's not how this is going to work. And that on its own, but also combined with all the other really fun kind of components of Pierre's angle and just who he is as a person, is really what's taken Canadian politics by a surprise. And there's a lot of people out there that don't like it, don't get me wrong, but I personally really appreciate someone who's kind of going against the grain. And Pierre's doing that, but not in a ultra rebellion sense, because he's still, he supports Ukraine. He's called for more money to go to Ukraine, things that I disagree with. But the way he approaches reporters, the way he approaches the debates is something that we've never seen before. And that's why he's going to continue to grow into this just almost unrealistic amount of popularity. I don't think there's ever really been a prime minister, at least not for a very, very long time, that's been as popular as Pierre Poilievre. And I think it's going to ramp up as we head back into Parliament, which, if you don't already, I highly recommend you go and click the channel down below, House of Commons or House of Canada. Sorry. That's where I stream the House of Commons footage that happens, and it's going to be starting back up here in just about a month, and it's going to be absolutely incredible. You're going to see a tremendous amount of zingers from Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative side. They've had a whole summer to prepare, several months, so it's going to be phenomenal. But that's where we're going to end this video. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments about this press conference. Do you think this is good for Pierre? Do you think it's bad for Pierre? He's broken his silence on immigration. He's just admitted that something needs to be done, and he's going to start to reveal a lot of these policies when it comes time for campaigning. And I can't say I blame the guy. I mean, you've already seen Justin Trudeau copy several of Pierre's policies, and Pierre has done the best. He's had the smartest approach to all of those infringements, all of that copying. He hasn't called it out, saying, "Hey, Justin, why are you copying me?" I'm going to tell you exactly why he hasn't done that, because that would look bad on Pierre. Pierre is genuinely, it seems that he's genuinely doing this for the best interests of Canada, for the people. He's a person, you know, he's been a politician his entire life, but he's relatable. And whether that's branding, whether that's genuine, it's really come across as genuine. And I'm convinced, right? And so Pierre Poilievre's approach with this genuine attitude, this genuine outlook, means that if anyone has a policy that is for the betterment of the people in Canada, for our economy, for our country, then why would he criticize that? So why would he go out and say, hey, Justin, how dare you steal our policies, when if that's the policy he's trying to put forward, it's not to get reelected. It's because that, or to get elected rather, it's because he genuinely believes that that's what's best for Canadians. It's not, yes, running in politics is a popularity contest, but he's not farming voters. He's putting front policies that people are going to naturally vote for, because we are in a little bit of a state of panic economically. Absolutely. Politically, no doubt. But that's where we're going to end this video. I would love to know what you guys think about any of the topics that Pierre brought up. And on your way out, I would like to encourage you guys to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.